जय श्री माता जी. Let's all bow down to Shri Mata ji and take बंधन. हम सब श्री माता जी को नतमस्तक होकर नमस्कार करेंगे और बंधन लेंगे. Three Mahamantras and Shri Ganesha Mantra. Let's place both our hands towards Shri Mata ji. दोनों हथेली को श्री माता जी की ओर रखें पहले. For cleansing our left channel, let's take our right hand and place it on the Mother Earth, towards the Mother Earth. अपनी ईड़ा नाड़ी की शुद्धिकरण के लिए बाएं हथेली को श्रीमाता जी की ओर, दाहिने हाथ या को जमीन पर या जमीन की ओर। श्री माता जी, प्लीज क्लेंस एंड प्योरीफाई आवर लेफ्ट साइड। श्रीमाता जी, कृपा करके हमारे इड़ा नाड़ी शुद्ध एवं निर्मल कीजिए। Let's take a right hand, place it towards Shrimati ji. Now for cleansing the right side, let's take a left hand, place it next to the left ear, palm facing upwards. अपने अपने पिंगला नाड़ी की शुद्धिकरण के लिए दाहिने हथेली को श्रीमाता जी की ओर, बाएं हथेली को घुमाकर आकाश की तरफ कान के पास रखें। श्री माता जी, प्लीज क्लेंस एंड प्योरीफाई आवर राइट साइड। श्री माता जी, कृपा करके हमारे दाहिने नाड़ी पिंगला नाड़ी शुद्ध एवं निर्मल कीजिए। Let's bring left hand, place both hands towards श्रीमाता जी। बाएं हथेली को गोद मिलाए, दोनों हाथ श्रीमाता जी की ओर। अपने चित्त को अपने मध्य नाड़ी पर केंद्रित करते हैं। Let's station our attention on our central channel. Shrimati ji, please establish us all in our central channel and in a state of balance. Shrimati ji, कृपा करके हम सभी को अपने मध्य नाड़ी पर वर्तमान में स्थित कीजिए और हमें संतुलन प्रदान कीजिए। Let's now take our attention on a सहस्रार. अपने चित्त को अपने सहस्त्रार पर हम स्थापित करते हैं. Shrimata ji, please establish us in thoughtless awareness state. श्री माता जी, कृपा करके हमें निर्विचार स्थिति प्रदान कीजिए और उसमें स्थापित कीजिए. In this state of meditation, let's listen to Shrimata ji's speech. इसी ध्यान अवस्था में हम श्रीमाता जी की अमृतवाणी सुन.
Freedom of India, the Constitutional Assembly of India. Mataji, before she took up this message of spreading Hindu philosophy and Hindu thoughts, she was married in a very intellectually prominent family, and she was married to Shri C. Srivastava, who post freedom leadership among the IAS community. Very well know some of the names, and Shri Chief Srivastava's name was one of those prominent names. He had the distinction of being the principal private secretary to Shastri, Sri Rama Shastri. And I remember Mataji, when I was the secretary of the government, the freedom of India in the Constitutional Assembly of India. Mataji, before she took up this message of spreading Hindu philosophy and Hindu thoughts, she was married in a very intellectually prominent family, and she was married to Shri C.P. Srivastava. Those of you who know the post-freedom leadership among the IAS community very well know some of the names, and Shri C.P. Srivastava's name was one of those prominent names. He had the distinction of being the principal private secretary to Shastriji, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri. And only now, after seeing this name, I remember Mataji when I was the secretary of the All India Teachers Federation, and we had a conference in Delhi. When we were invited to Shastriji's house, it was Srivastavaji who conducted the delegates to the house of Shastriji. And our great pleasure that God creates situations where we meet different people at different situations just to prove that the world is so small. Srivastavaji, after serving as a distinguished person with Shastriji, then he was transferred to the Shipping Corporation of India, where he was the secretary, and later on he was with the United Nations Agency for International Maritime Agency. Now this is the background of this intellectual family. As holders of important positions in the government of India and in the International Assembly at the UNO, they must be coming in contact with highly prominent international personalities. And Mataji among them all, instead of glorifying herself in those positions of contacts and great places, her bent of mind was towards spiritualism. And today when she lectures to us, when she tells us some of the mysteries of our teachings, we will have the occasion of knowing her more about her message. Born near Nagpur at a place called Chhindwara, she is younger than me, and the glow of the charm of the spiritual world, as you see on Mataji's face, it is a rare thing to find people so radiant and brilliant, and when she speaks to us, I really enjoy that. I welcome you, Mataji, on behalf of the members of the Hindu Center and the followers of the Hindu community's teachers and principles. You are in the program. When the time comes, we will request you to come and speak. If you like to sit on the platform and speak, or you would like to stand, as you like. It is also our practice to let you know as to what we have been doing during the month when we met you last and now. We celebrate the Independence Day in this country, and the High Commissioner invites the various organizations to plan and organize the 15th of August program. We were invited there, and we did promise that we will take part in whatever the activities are being done. We had a meeting at the County Hall arranged by the County GLC on race equality, which I attended on behalf of the Hindu Center, and at the new live office, Ken Livingston of the GLC was invited.
सबसे पहले मैं हिंदू सेंटर के संचालक तथा उनके व्यवस्थापक सबका हार्दिक धन्यवाद मानती हूँ कि ये शुभ अवसर उन्होंने दिया कि मैं आप लोगों से मिलूं और आपसे बातचीत करूं। सर्वप्रथम मैं चाहूँगी कि कुछ अंग्रेजी में कुंडलिनी के बारे में बताओ और उसके बाद हिंदुस्तानी में आप लोग इस इजाज़त दें तो मैं समझाना चाहूँगी कि इस देश में आए हुए हिंदुओं को क्या करना चाहिए। Kundalini is not a new thing or something that has started in the modern times. It's the most ancient science of spiritual life. It's not that it was not understood or seen in other places than India that people knew about Kundalini. But the language used can confuse many people to think that Kundalini is something very localized or maybe something nationalistic. In our country, historically, if you see, India, we had 3 types of movements, broadly. The first movement on spiritual grounds was that of what we call the right side movement, meaning we were trying to control the nature. Or we were trying to control the nature through the will of God or through the will of that all-pervading power which we call as Chaitanya. Accordingly, we started having yajnas and other methods of invoking the spirit of these elements by which we could understand them and they could understand us. I feel the result of that today we see is the science that we have developed. The result of that, many seers in India saw so many things created in that great country much before we ever started writing the history. They had created great aeroplanes and all kinds of pilotless, not bombs, but aeroplanes in those days. That's a fact. Of course, it's difficult to face it because people can't believe it, that our country would have produced such great things. The second kind of movement started in India was that of bhakti, of worshipping God. The people who were intellectuals started working through their intellect to create a rapport between human beings and the nature, and the other part of the people who were seekers thought it is better to sing the praise of God and invite His grace upon us so that the light of His love will expose all that is spiritual and higher than human awareness. And the third type of movement, which was very secretive in those days, was the movement of evolutionary process, by which a human being was to be made aware of his higher self, that was his spirit, his Atma, through Kundalini awakening. You'll be amazed that at the time of Sri Rama, his own father-in-law, who was Raja Janaka, had one disciple called Nachiketa. And he asked that he would like to know about his self, about his Atma. And Raja Janaka told him, you can take all my wealth, you can take everything that I have, but please don't ask me to give you enlightenment. But Nachiketa was very anxious and assiduous, and he achieved his goal ultimately. So at the time of Raja Janaka, we can say there were very few people who really received their self-realization. But on the whole, the people at that time, not being so complexed by mental projections and other problems of life, were very simple and were sensitive to the divinity. They understood who Rama was, They understood who Sita was, and they understood what divine power was in those days. Though they did not aspire to be the spirit, maybe, but so many of them knew about it. Now the Patanjali yoga is described. The yoga was practiced in our country thousands of years back, thousands and thousands of years back, when we had a very different type of a system existing. When we talk of yoga, I see here some sort of a exercise people do. I'm really amazed. It has nothing to do with yoga at all. Patanjali yoga has got 8-fold processes, ashtangas. Out of that, the first and the foremost is Ishvara Pranidhana. Meaning you must establish your Ishvara universe. Means your Ishvara being the spirit must be first established. And then all the other 7 follow. Yamaniyama are there, which are very strict, and if you read them, we can think that hardly 1 or 2 persons in the whole world can follow that, and people can get a shock to know that you don't have to lead a married life and all those things were there. But because in those days there were hardly 1 or 2 persons who could get to that kind of thing, all these austere methods were given and were practiced in those days, and people did achieve their highest goal by first getting their self-realization and then going through the different training of their life and style to achieve the ultimate. So to say that Hatha Yoga means only standing on your heads is a very wrong idea about yoga. Yoga is a word come from the word yukti, joining. When your attention is enlightened by the spirit, or when the Jivatma becomes one with the spirit or with the divine power, then it is the real yoga. The another meaning of the word yoga is, which is being now misused, kaushalam, means the deftness. Those who first got their realization had to know the methods and the laws that govern human beings on the divine, means the divine laws, how they are acting and how we have to utilize them. And this knowledge was the real yoga kaushalam, or the deftness about the divine laws, how to operate them. As the time passed by, many things disappeared into thin air. And the great seers and yogis disappeared also in the Himalayas and all far-fetched caves, because they thought human beings are incapable of understanding. Now those half-baked people who went round to them, they tried their level best to convince them that yoga is to be done only on the spiritual level to begin with. And once the Kundalini rises in this yoga, then only you know what problems you are and what it is related to. And then accordingly you have to do the yama and niyamas. Now towards yama and niyama, one relates to the collectivity, to the samashti, and the niyama relates to a human being. That means what you have to follow in your regular life is a niyama in your person, what you have to change. And the yama is where how much you have to bother about others, the society in which you live, the people with whom you have to relate. All that sort of a system doesn't exist today. Because in those days, as you know, there was complete brahmacharya for the students till the age of about 20 to 25 years after they got married, to such an extent that even the university in which the children studied was called by their putras. For example, my gotra is Shandili. Now even today I cannot marry in the same gotra. Means in one university you could not marry another person for generations together. Such a kind of a pure celibacy was exercised till the age of 25. But after marriage, people did not talk of these things. This was only till the age of 25 years, the kind of education in Patanjali style of universities was given. So today we are faced with the modern life. And in the modern life, to to talk of Patanjali Yoga as it was and as should be is a very, very difficult thing. We can't expect people to give up their families, run away from their families, go to the remote corners of Himalayas and meditate. This is not the time for that. And the problem of the divine is this, that after creating this great world, after creating human beings, it finds that in our seeking, we have gone astray. Everywhere. I would not even say that in India we have not gone astray. Everywhere we have gone astray, and we have accepted that we have gone to extremes in all our seeking, whether it is Christianity, Hinduism or any religion. We have gone to extremes and we have committed mistakes, and the time has come for us to look back and see where are we. When I was born as a child, I felt now the time has come for people to get en masse realization. Otherwise there is no sin. Because whatever has happened, doesn't matter. Wherever they are, doesn't matter. They have to get to their spirit, otherwise you cannot talk to them about God. This is a fact. Today if you talk to young people, now you see this church is becoming Hindu center. And also Hindus as such today are their children. If you see them, they are not interested in religion, they are not interested in God. And we must face reality as it is and not have our own imagination about it. Because in that imagination we may lose the whole thing. So today when the world is so pressurized with all kinds of conflicts and all kinds of funny ideas and all kinds of unholy attacks on human beings, what is the solution? To give people self-realization. As they are, wherever they have to have their inner. And I decided that I'll work on the permutations and combinations of the problems of all the people, what problems they have, what they are suffering from. And can you remove the child, please? What? Just take the child out. Better take her out. That's better. Mother. So the problems of today are to be faced as they are, and a solution has to be found. As I told you, through my meditative powers, or we can say meditative surrendering, I found out that human beings have very few problems. And wherever they are, under whatever circumstances, whatever they have done, whatever mistakes so-called they have committed, whatever anti-God activities they have taken to, it is now absolutely essential that they have to get their self-realization. No use talking about God, no use talking about divine power, and no use telling them that you must balance your life, don't do this and don't do that, like all the 10 commandments. Take to ahimsa, take to this, take to that. Nobody is going to listen. This is what I found out, and that's how I worked out all the permutations and combinations that are hindering the growth of human beings into a higher realm of self. And when I worked it out, I was amazed that it's very little to be done. Human beings are already ready to be there. But the biggest thing that human beings have to have is the desire to change. As he said that, I'm related also to very sophisticated people of London and all over the world. But what I found among them, they have no desire to change. They are so self-satisfied and self-opinionated. They have no desire to change themselves, nor the world, nor anything. So no question of talking these things to them. But there's a category of special people who are called as seekers today, whom William Blake has called as the men of God, that they have to become the prophets, and they will have powers to make others prophets. And that time, that prophecy can be fulfilled today in this England, which is the Jerusalem. To me, when I'm in England, I must say I'm English. And all the problems of England, I face them as any English seer would like to see. At the time of plague, as he saw it, I too see it the same way. Now when this Kundalini, which is placed within us, in the sacrum bone, is awakened by some enlightened person, then she pierces through the fontanelle bone area, which is called in Sanskrit as Brahmarandha. You get your real baptism, as they call it. This is what Christ said, you have to be baptized, you have to be born again. But it does not mean that anybody puts your hand on your head or makes you wear a yagyo kavita, you are born again. It's artificial. We must understand. As all reasonable, sensible people, we must understand that is not real. It is some sort of an artificial ceremony which is symbolic of something real behind it. So to have the real ceremony, what do we do? To have the real ceremony, there must be some method within us, and that method is already built in within us. All the scientists can ask a simple question to themselves: why God has made us human beings from amoeba to this stage? What is the purpose of God to make us a human? And the answer, they will say we don't know. But perhaps if somebody says that one can know, this answer is that you are made like this, you are in a transition to become the spirit. When this instrument is put here and made, it has to be put to the mains, otherwise it doesn't work. First of all, you should be put to the mains. Otherwise, whatever you are doing it in a relative world, not in an absolute. Once you become one with that, then your whole language changes. Like Kaviraj says, is so much there. You can see he was a realized soul. And when he was a realized soul, he spoke with such authority, with such understanding of the divine. And when he said something, people never understood him. They used to laugh at him, mock at them. We have crucified people, we have beaten them. We have done not only in England, it's done everywhere. So the basis of all that is a simple ignorance, ajnana. That there is God, that there is all-pervading power, this Omkara, which we have to feel for the first time. You feel after the Kundalini awakening, before that it doesn't happen.
जय श्री माता जी. Let's all bow down to Shri Mataji. Thank Shri Mataji for today's meditation and take Bandhan. हम सब श्री माताजी को नतमस्तक होकर नमस्कार करेंगे. आज के ध्यान के लिए अपने आभार प्रकट करेंगे और बंधन लेंगे. जय श्री माताजी.